Project Veritas and Expose CNN are trending on Twitter today after two videotapes this week have been leaked regarding CNN's propaganda used in the last year in regards to the presidential election, as well as their coverage of Matt Gaetz. We do a deep dive into the story on your April 15th Not So News update. Please like and subscribe if you're looking for daily news content, and let's dive on in. Starting us off from the Daily Wire, CNN director, we work to oust Trump, we create propaganda, use fear to pass climate agenda. This comes from Ryan Saavedra and was reported on April 13th on a Project Veritas release tape. Some of the quotes are in the article as they report the following. James O'Keefe's Project Veritas released explosive video on Tuesday that showed CNN technical director Charlie Chester admitting that the network worked to get President Donald Trump out of office and that the network creates propaganda on issues they know little about. Here are some of the following quotes. Look what we did. We, CNN, got Trump out. I'm 100% going to say it, and I 100% believe that it wasn't for CNN. I don't know what Trump would have got if Trump would have gotten voted out. I came to CNN because I wanted to be part of that. It's going to be our CNN's focus, like our focus was to get Trump out of office, right? Without saying that that's what it was, right? So our next thing is going to be climate change awareness. Trump's hand was shaking or whatever, I think. We brought in so many medical people to tell a story that was all speculation, that he was neurologically damaged and he was losing it. He's unfit to, whatever. We were creating a story that we didn't know anything about. That's what I think. That's propaganda. I think there's COVID fatigue. So like whenever a news story comes up, CNN's going to latch onto it. They're already announced in our office that once the public will be open to it, we're going to start focusing mainly on climate. I have a feeling it's going to be like controversy, showing videos of decline in ice and weather warming up and like its effect is having on the economy. Climate change is the next pandemic-like story that will beat to death, but that one's got longevity. You know what I mean? Like there's a definitive ending to the pandemic. It will taper off at the point that it's not a problem anymore. Climate change can take years, so CNN will probably be able to milk that quite a bit. Be prepared, it's coming. Climate change is going to be the next COVID thing for CNN. When asked if CNN was going to use fear to push their agenda, Chester said, yes, fear sells. These were just all quotes reported by the Daily Wire coverage of the Project Veritas video. In an additional story reported from Fox News, CNN staffer admits network hyping Matt Gaetz coverage because rep is a problem for the Democratic Party. That's propaganda because it's helping us in some way. Technical director Charles Chester tells reporters. This is the same story that was reported on the latest ones in their coverage of the climate change and how it affected, or in the future of climate change coverage for CNN, as well as their coverage of Donald Trump. And here's the following excerpt that I think is relevant. The agenda says is to get like Matt Gaetz right now, like he's like this Republican. Chester began, he's a problem for the Democratic Party because he's so conservative, right? And he can cause a lot of hiccups in passing of laws and whatnot. So it'd be great for the Democratic Party to get him out. So we're going to keep running the stories to keep hurting him and make it so that it can't be buried and like just settled outside of court. And just like, if we keep pushing that, it's helping us. That's propaganda because it's helping us in some way, Chester summarized. I think this shows the danger of how we've allowed big money involved in politics. This is an issue both on the left and right, and it's right now just something that's hurting specifically the left with its coverage of CNN. I think something we've gotten way too comfortable with is outside spending when it comes to elections. If you remember the Georgia runoffs, notably there were some very big pockets on the right that were donating to the runoff campaigns, and there were big pockets on the left as well. And I think that's personally an issue. When we're looking at elections, we want the people in that district to be the ones representative. We probably want the money to be local money that's, invested in that community. We really don't, I don't personally think it's a good thing for someone, say in Florida or California, to be giving money to a Georgia election. That's no longer Georgia's interest, in the same way that we would say Russian interference in a US election is no longer the United States interest. Even though we're expecting that only Americans would vote, that information that's coming from outside that local community is an issue, personally, in my opinion. When confronted about this, we see that the CNN director bolts after the interview. This was also reported by Ryan at the Daily Wire. Watch, CNN director bolts after being confronted by James O'Keefe over stunning admissions made on video. O'Keefe confronted Chester at a restaurant where Chester had been talking to the undercover journalist. The journalist got up and left the table, and Chester was under the impression that she was going to return. O'Keefe walked up to the table with a camera crew and pressed Chester about the admissions that he made on camera. Chester responded by using coronavirus guidelines to get out of having to answer questions, saying that O'Keefe was too close and not wearing a mask, even though Chester was also not wearing a mask. Chester quickly left the restaurant and refused to answer questions before speeding off in a car. I think what this shows is that the CNN individual Chester knows that what he's doing is wrong. He knows that when confronted on it, he needs to run away because he knows that CNN is in the wrong on this issue. They know that CNN is doing propaganda, and they admitted the silent part out loud. I don't think he genuinely thinks coronavirus is a threat, at least to him personally. Otherwise, he wouldn't be out in public. He would be wearing his mask 24/7. Also, in the line of work that he's doing, he's probably already been vaccinated and doesn't even have anything to worry about. And we got to look at what are the kind of things that are being pushed at CNN. This comes from Bongino.com with the Dan Bongino show. CNN host complains about lack of vaccine selfies from Fox News host, the smallest audience of the year. While it remains a mystery why and how Brian Stelter has any audience on CNN, the latest numbers do show it shrinking. On Sunday, the reliable sources host suffered the worst viewership of the year, with 923,000 tuning in the key 25 to 54 demographic. Only 195,000 tuned in. There's no words on how many of these viewers are attributed to people actually leaving their TVs on. This is a trend at CNN, as Cuomo Primetime also had the lowest week recently, shedding 45% of the audience. Like many pundits on the show, on the left, Stelter loves to play the role of media hall monitor, seemingly spending more time watching Fox News than his own network. Can't blame him for that. And then complaining about it online and his show. We had the lowest ratings episode ever on Sunday when he bemoaned the lack of COVID-19 vaccine selfies being posted by Fox News staff. It's really important to see all these TV anchors' personalities showing themselves getting the shot. We've seen a lot of vaccine selfies from lots of folks at lots of different networks. It's been really inspiring to see, Stelter said. So I say all that to make the following point. So said, where are the biggest stars on Fox getting vaccinated? Watch below. And the Daily Caller reports on the coverage that CNN gives. I'll be personally take the hit on this, that the more I hear crap about this, that because a celebrity got a shot, I need to get a shot, that makes me more inclined to not get a vaccine. I'm personally the individual that I want individuals making the best choice for themselves. I want them looking at the facts, looking at the potential harm from the coronavirus, comparing that with the results of getting a vaccine, and I trust the everyday public to be able to make the best decision. I think it's really telling to say that you need to bring out a celebrity to get your point across. That's the classic appeal to authority that a philosophy 101 student would be able to point out. And I personally feel a little offended that this is what the tactics that are being drawn to. Finally, coming from Sarah Carter, Project Veritas founder, I'm going to sue CNN for defamation. This comes as a result of the two stories that we reported, and they say the following. Part 2 will expose frauds and misrepresentation that CNN reported on related to COVID, O'Keefe said, adding that this information is even worse than what was previously reported. So we're going to keep releasing more tapes, and we think either Charlie Chester will be terminated or CNN will have to issue a comment, O'Keefe said. O'Keefe announced that he is planning to sue CNN for defamation after host Ana Cabrera slandered Project Veritas for misinformation. We believe we can win against CNN, so I'm announcing on your show I'm going to sue CNN for defamation, O'Keefe said. I think a lot of people need to start suing the media for defamation. It's disgraceful what they're doing. It's disgusting. CNN did not respond to SarahCarter.com's request for comments. The story will be updated if and when a statement is provided. I think that this shows something that's really an issue. The complete polarization that we have. Essentially, Project Veritas is a right-wing news organization attacking CNN, a left-wing news organization. Obviously, we don't want this complete divide in how we get our information. We want the best information to come out. And I think it's really telling to see one side just attack the other, calling it misinformation, and the result being to sue back. Obviously, I would like to see Project Veritas taking a higher road, saying that, I think the CNN tapes speak for themselves. But it also goes to CNN's just vast polarization when it comes to reporting news. Obviously, that's an issue as well. And at the end of the day, I want the best information and the most information to be getting out, and I think that does require some accountability to both sides of the aisle. In this case, it's going against CNN. And this is your April 15th Not to News update. Once again, please like and subscribe if you're looking for daily news content, and have a good one.